All right, welcome to StuMo Week 4. We do want to welcome online. We've got the University of Missouri in Columbia this week, so let's give it up for these guys for joining us. We're excited you guys are with us and that you're going to continue to be with us. What makes you happy? What makes you happy? Is it when your team wins? Is it when there's nice weather outside? What makes you happy? Girls, what makes you happy? He texted me today. What makes you happy? For me, I've got 3 sons, and one of the things that makes me happy, or one of the things that pleases me some of the time, is my kids. Some of the time. They're hilarious. In fact, for years, we kept a quote list on the refrigerator of funny things they would say and do because we knew we would forget it one day down the road, and some nights we'll just go back and read the funny stuff that they used to say and do. I was looking back over the list the other day. When we first moved to town in 2001, 2002, my youngest son was 4 years old, and the one below that I think was 2 at the time. I drove home from work one day. We're living in suburbia. I hit the garage door opener. The garage starts to go up, and I notice 2 sets of legs connected to 2 sets of feet. And as the garage door continued to go up, the 2 sets of legs and 2 sets of feet went up as well. And I'm sitting there like, oh shoot, that's my kids, they got caught on there, I don't know what's up. So I hit the button again and it comes back down. I wait a couple seconds, right, and I hit the button again. It starts to go up and the legs and the feet go up as well, and I think, well, I'll let it go a little further this time. And so just kind of entertained by the moment, I let it go up all the way. They never let go. They're hanging literally like 5 feet from the ground, so I'm like, oh gosh, they could fall. So I hit the button again, it goes down. I dive in, right before the sensor raises it back up, and they're just grabbing on, just laughing their heads off, having a blast. And I'm like, you guys are loving this, aren't you? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, I'll go outside, for like the next half hour, I'm pushing the button. They go up, they go down, they're cracking up. They loved it. My kids are one of the things that pleases me, just some of the funny memories. When I took Fish, my oldest son's named Fisher, we call him Fish. When I took him fishing for the first time, he was 5 years old. And I remember I was putting a worm on the hook, and he was looking over just distraught. And I look over at him, I'm sitting there in the boat, hooking this worm up, and he goes, how does he live through that? I got bad news for you, buddy. He does not. It was hilarious. My youngest son, Stone, has Asperger's syndrome, which is kind of on the autism spectrum. Incredible guy, very smart, socially a little bit out there. I got to coach him up socially a little bit. One of the things he does is he just says whatever is on his mind. At all times, he doesn't care who's there or who he's saying it to. And so there's been many times we'll be at the grocery store. He'll be completely honest, like someone will lean into him. I remember when he was 3 years old, down here at Random Harps on Garland, which you get all the randos there, right, at that Harps. And so we're standing there in line, and this lady comes up to him. She goes, well, isn't he cute? And he looks up at her, and he goes, you have way too many freckles. And I'm like, oh, man, this isn't my kid. Whose kid is this, Or do I claim him and coach him up a little bit? And she's like, it's okay. It's good to see y'all. He has to continue. He goes, your head doesn't match your body. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm sitting there like, what do I do with this guy? And she's loading up her cart and goes, that's a lot of junk food. I'm like, let's get out of here, man. You're doing horrible. But later, man, great laughs on the fridge. I was glad it happened after the fact, right? One of the things that pleases me is my kids. Question, what pleases God? Have you ever thought about that? What does it take to please God? Is it going to church or Mass all the time? I have a buddy, his parents go to Mass literally every day. 365 days a year, they go to Mass. I have other friends who go to church. I go to church weekly. I have friends who go twice a month, and some of y'all here probably maybe never make it to church, right? And so is God more pleased with my buddy's parents who go 365 days a year than he is with somebody who goes once or never? What does it take to please God? Several years ago, a guy in India walked out of his house, got down onto the ground, and began to barrel roll. He rolled down the block. He took a turn. He rolled down another block. He took another turn, and he rolled to the edge of his town, his village there in India, and then he continued to roll another 967 miles. When he finally got up, which I don't know why you stop at 967, it's like, why not 968? You're so close to 1,000. When he finally got up, some journalists asked him, why did you do it? And he said, I wanted to please my God. Is that what pleases God? What is it that pleases God? Do you move out in the woods and homeschool 8 kids? Is that what pleases God? Do you go on a mission trip? Do you hand out balloons to people in the airport and smile at them? What does it take to please God? Did you know the Bible says there's only one way to please God? There's only one way to please God. And it's not through ritual, it's not through religion, it's not through rules. In fact, in Hebrews 11, the Bible talks about what it takes to please God. And here's what it says. It says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. Because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. The one thing you can for sure do and know that you're pleasing God is to exercise faith. So tonight, I want to explain 3 ways from your sheet, under your seat, how you can exercise faith. And the first is this: to believe when you don't see it. To exercise faith, you have to believe when you don't see it. Look what Hebrews 11:1 says. It says, faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we don't see. Faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we don't see. About the time my kids were going up and down on the garage door, my oldest son, Fish, was out on this kind of pirate ship swing set thing that we had this Amish guy from Oklahoma come and build for us in our backyard. It was incredible. On that pirate ship was a little telescope, and I saw Fish out there looking through it, and he looked frustrated. And so I watched him for a while from inside, and finally I went out there. I was like, I got to help this guy. And so I walk up to him, and before I can say anything, he's kind of looking through the telescope and doing this, and then looking around and looking through the telescope again. And I walk up to him, and I go, hey, Fish. And he turns to me, and he goes, Dad, you can't see God from our house. And I looked at him, I'm like, man, the dude believes. This is awesome. Here was his thinking. He goes, A, God exists. B, I can't see him from here. C, I need a better angle. He knew that God was there. He just needed to get somewhere else to see him. I was talking to a friend of mine round about that time. This guy's a 20-something, and he's an atheist. His name was Cy. So I said to Cy, I said, hey, man, maybe you should start believing in God. Maybe do some reading in the Scriptures. God has meant so much